When the men and women of our armed forces are deployed overseas, their loved ones are back home holding down the fort. Oftentimes, they're fighting their own battles by themselves.
Deployments can be heart-wrenching for a service member's spouse and family. Yet daily life still goes on for those left behind. Sara Jane Arnett understands the sacrifices and challenges of being a military spouse and mom. She and Samuel, an Army captain, have been married for 9 years. Half of those have been spent apart. In her children's book, My Daddy's a Soldier, Sara Jane helps families with young children cope with the tough times when mommy or daddy deploys.
Sara Jane Arnett has also been named as a Heroes at Home Military Spouse of the Year. That's an award she's received. And she's also studying at Regent School of Business and Leadership. And Sara Jane, we welcome you to the 700 Club. It's great to have you here.
Terry. Good to be here.
We just heard that amazing statement that half of your married life you and your husband have spent apart. When you said I do, did you realize what you were committing to?
No way, not at all. We actually got married like 10 years after we met. We were together for 3 days, and then he popped the question. So we planned the wedding via mail, and
oh my goodness.
He was in basic, and we got married 2 days after basic. It's been a whirlwind.
Well, you say that when the stress of deployment is overwhelming, to laugh. How do you get there from here?
Well, I believe that our life is meant to be lived in relationship. Relationship with Christ, relationship with your family, your spouse, your children. At those moments, those aha moments, those moments when you just want to pull your hair out, when your wits end with dirty laundry, the kids running around, you have to laugh or it's just easy to get pulled down the negative side. And
you know, you were just mentioning some of the things that are just a part of everyday life, but in most families, you either live near extended family where someone can help, or you're together with your spouse and you're attacking those things together in some family determined fashion. You say, in the process of all of this, as the spouse of a military person who's been deployed, don't rely on yourself. So who do you rely on? How do you take advantage of that?
I think it's been a learning lesson. We've been in the military close to 10 years, and I come from a very strong family. We're strong-willed, we're stubborn. And,
and that's a good thing.
It is. It helps you persevere. But I also learned that asking for help is not a sign of weakness, and that we really need to rely on our friendships. And oftentimes in the military, we're not exposed to our immediate family, so we make family our military family.
Yeah. You said that there's something that you have accomplished by yourself that was, in some ways, to you even more significant than childbirth. And I laughed when I read this. It was changing your car battery, because most of us don't have to learn how to do that.
Well, it was unique. It was a unique experience. There's nothing I love more than a good labor and delivery story. But when my husband was deployed last year, I made the mistake of not shutting his car door, and then when I went to start it up for the monthly startup, there was no ignition, so I changed it, and I felt like I was big time.
I think that should have been the big award given to you, really.
My dad will call me and ask me car questions now. I just said, when in doubt, it's the carburetor, Dad.
Talk a little bit as a mom about how you hold down the fort for your kids, because it's one thing for us as adults when we go through times of separation to understand both the necessity for it and also just what it entails. But for children, that's a hard thing.
Well, I think you have to be open to the fact that your children are absolutely resilient, but it's our job as parents to hone in on their emotional needs, their emotional behaviors, if they're acting out, especially in times of deployment or separation, that it's not really their fault. There has to be a cause and effect, and just to really be intuitive to their feelings.
Yeah, we were just looking at your kids on camera as you were talking. They're adorable, but it's a hard thing to hold down the fort by yourself. It takes a lot of just perseverance sometimes, just as our first guest was just talking about. Sometimes you just grit and hold on, right?
You do, but I couldn't do it alone without the love and support of my family. And my friends, my military friends are my family.
Well, Sara Jane, then I have friends that are married to military people, and we've often talked about the challenge of when your spouse comes home, because now you've been running the show and planning everything and taking charge of everything. How do you integrate that shared responsibility when your husband comes back?
They say that that is definitely the reintegration period is one of the most difficult, because you're serving as the mother, the father, the disciplinarian, everything all at once. And when they get back home, you just have to find the balance of kind of let go of the reins a little bit. And actually, our oldest son, he just turned 7 in March, and he was really like the little man of the house. He was really into like my feelings and picking up, you know, different things on the floor and just pitching in. And it's also tough really for the kids for the reintegration, but I say that a bit apprehensively, because it's not tough to welcome home your service member. That's not at all tough.
Pretty exciting.
It's
really.
It's awesome. There's no better feeling.
Want to talk about that, well, because you've written a book called My Daddy's a Soldier, and part of the story that you share in here is the time when Dad's away and the kids are feeling lonely, but the excitement of Dad coming home. Tell us what generated this.
Well, we had just moved to Virginia, our new post, and my baby was 4 months old, and I had a 3-year-old. So we were looking at resources online, and there really wasn't that many available. So I just said, you know what, I'm just going to write a book to help all the little kids. And I mean, my children selfishly were the inspiration behind it, but it's really taken off, and it's really about how children use their resiliency, their adaptivity to really focus on the positive memories when the service member's gone, and really to hone in on those memories to pull them through to the next day.
Yeah, it's very poignant, and it celebrates as well what our service men and women do, and the families that sacrifice along with them for the country. Thank you so much. Sara Jane Arnett has written a children's book. It's called My Daddy's a Soldier, and we want you to know that the proceeds from the sales of this go to the USO of Hampton Roads. So kind of an exciting way to be able to bless your kids with an understanding of what our troops do, but also support the families that are waiting behind and holding down the fort. Thanks, Sara Jane.
Thank you so much for having me with us.